The province that leads the country in active COVID-19 infections right now per capita is putting in new public health restrictions. Alberta's Premier, who has been criticized for waiting too long to act, went a step further tonight. In an address to the province, Jason Kenney announced new measures, including moving schools to online learning and closing outdoor patios.
Governments must not impair people's rights or their livelihoods unless it is absolutely necessary to save lives and, in this case, to prevent disaster from unfolding in our hospitals.
With me from Calgary is Global News reporter Krista Dow. Krista, the Premier wanted to speak directly to Albertans. What was his message?
Well, Donna, his message to Albertans that everyone has a role to play and that these new measures are required to save lives and avoid that disaster in the hospital. Now, the Premier just wrapping up that televised event just moments ago, and he says these strict new measures are in place and they will help bend down the curve. Now, the Premier says these new measures will prevent that disaster in the hospital as Alberta sees rising COVID-19 numbers and rising hospitalization numbers as well.
Now, if exponential growth of COVID-19 in Alberta continues, it would begin to push the outer limits of even our surged and expanded hospital capacity within weeks. So let me be clear. We will not permit our healthcare system to be overwhelmed. We must not and we will not force our doctors and nurses to decide who gets care and who doesn't. And that is why we must act now to stop the spike.
Now, Donna, the biggest change is the schools will be closing from kindergarten to grade 12, and they will be closing for 2 weeks as well. Hair, nail salons will also be closed, and retailers can operate, but they must be operating at 10% capacity. Now, restaurants will be limited to just takeout, as dine-in will be closed. The previous restrictions did allow for patios to be open, so that will no longer be happening. Well, this comes as dozens of doctors penned a letter to the Premier calling for these tough new measures. The concern they have is that hospital rooms will get to a point where there will not be adequate care. Now, the Premier is also saying that there will be limits on gatherings, funerals, and places of worship. Now, also, as we've seen many Albertans flouting these health restrictions, the Premier announced that anyone who is in violation of these rules, well, those fines will be increasing from $1,000 to $2,000. And the Premier, just due to the nature of the event, he did not take questions, but we are being told he will be responding to reporters tomorrow morning. Donna?
All right, Krista Dow in Calgary tonight. Thank you.